David, thanks so much for joining me here today.
My pleasure.
I want to talk, you had a role at MSD, which was customer engagement. Now, how is customer engagement going to look in the future? Because we've seen a lot of us talking about the patient, putting the customer at the centre, and largely people have adopted that. So people are going to need to push on, they're going to need to differentiate themselves, they're going to need to get to the next stage. So what is that next stage?
Good question. I think in pharma the next stage is very easy to define because the next stage is not so far away. While pharma has generally adopted a more patient-centric approach, it's at the beginning stage. It's very elementary. The best way I can explain it is if we talk about multi-channel marketing, for example. Yeah? In every other company, in every other industry, multi-channel marketing is marketing. It's just the way business is done. In pharma, you have a separate department who does multi-channel marketing set aside from the marketing group. So what does the future look like in terms of customer engagement using multi-channel? It's when those groups become part of mainstream marketing. It's not an outside part. So I think while pharma is doing a lot to move itself forward, it's got a long way to go. It's behind many, many other industries. And so the path forward, if you choose to look outside the industry, is pretty clear.
That's all fair enough, but what can pharma actually do? Where can they start putting investments that they're not putting in right now to actually achieve that future?
If we carry on talking about multi-channel, they only invest 3.6% of the marketing budget, I think that was the figure I saw today, in multi-channel. It's got a long way to go before it starts eating into the huge amount of money that they allocate to traditional marketing and the field force and detailing and brand materials. So they could allocate more resources there. I think we look at the new sales roles that are happening, so the MSLs, the medical sales liaisons for many companies. I heard yesterday that the number has doubled in this last year, but in the UK, or I thought it could have been in the US, it was only 800 MSLs as opposed to how many sales representatives. So there's changes, but it's small. I think they need to accelerate the pace of change and make the big commitment to reallocate resources to where it's going to be most effective. And I think that's still the gap. There's still a lot of work to be done.
Resources are one thing, but they're not everything. What about the business model? If we continue in this direction, we begin to incorporate patients as within the entire life cycle. What will that allow us to do as an opportunity in terms of shifting the business model fundamentally?
It's important to understand that the business model as it exists today is the foundation that the whole industry is built on. How resources are allocated, the processes, where the money is, all of those things are the resistors to really becoming a patient-centric organization. So being a patient-centric organization is not continuing to do what we do today and doing more patient stuff. It is actually replacing some of the things that we do today with new stuff, patient stuff. And we haven't got a head around that. So the resources for the sales force continue to stay where they are because nobody wants to stop detailing, for example. It's not very patient-centric. So you have to stop detailing products and change it with a different approach. I think that's the challenge for pharma moving forward, and some of the systems and processes that are fundamental to the existing model are going to be very difficult to change. But until they change, you're not going to see a radical, significant change to the business model and the industry becoming more patient-centric, my opinion.